Solar Power International 2015. I'm Kelly Pickerel, Associate Editor of Solar Power World, and with me today is Jung. He is CEO of Greensmith, a manufacturer of energy storage software and other energy storage technologies. So thanks for joining us today, John.
Thanks very much for having me, Kelly.
Awesome. Well, I thought we'd start with, you could give me a description of Greensmith, what you guys do and who you work with.
Yeah, Greensmith is a provider of energy storage technology, and we really specialize in the software. But a lot of people know us from last year of having deployed over 1/3 of the total US energy storage systems in 2014. And so, I think that was a bit of a coming out party for us, but we really have spent the greater part of the last 7 years developing and enhancing what we believe to be the leading software solution when it comes to maximizing energy storage applications using a myriad of battery technologies that are suitable. So we are truly battery agnostic, and we have been since our founding. It's become fashionable to say battery agnosticism, but we've already integrated 14 different batteries and delivered about 50 systems to 25 power companies around the world. So we're going through a very exciting period of growth, along with the growth of the energy storage industry, of course.
So are you mainly working with the larger customers, utility scale type of things?
Yeah, I think you could probably identify 3 customer segments that we serve. We really cut our teeth in terms of technology credibility with the electric utilities, the IOUs. And so they really serve to not only take advantage of the technology, but give us a lot of input and feedback. With the advent of mandates such as AB 2514 and other positive developments related to energy storage, we're also serving a growing number of independent power producers, some of whom are the biggest deployers of solar, which is why SPI is such an important conference for us to be at, and we have a booth here as well. So that's a growing set of customers that are almost establishing PPA type agreements using energy storage as an asset instead of wind and solar. The third category is a bit more eclectic. It's really more, I would say, customer-sided or behind-the-meter customers that may sort of manage the climate control systems of campuses, hospitals, schools, etc. So-called commercial industrial behind-the-meter, and whether it's demand charge management or it's actually participating in wholesale markets, they're also a growing set of customers that are looking to take advantage of energy storage technology. So we serve a variety of different customers on both sides of the meter.
Okay. So how does energy storage really differ between grid scale and maybe home energy installations? How is that different?
Sure. Well, let me start by saying there are a lot of things that aren't different about the two. They both rely upon proven, economical, and high-performance battery technologies. Hey there. They both take advantage of some of the same software-based applications to capture value. The difference are twofold, really. One is the scale. We've done systems as large as 20 megawatts, and if you think about a 5 kilowatt system, that's 4,000 systems, compared to one. Hey there.
Get a lot of visitors.
The other difference is that as you get closer to the residences and you get closer to commercial industrial, you have fleets of energy storage systems that oftentimes need to be aggregated and optimized as a polynomial group as opposed to single deployment of energy storage systems. So fleet control and aggregation is a new feature and functionality set that we just released to the market. And so we pride ourselves on not only deploying some of the largest systems in the world, but some of the smaller systems that all need to be aggregated in fleets to be optimized as a group of energy storage systems. Perhaps using different battery technologies, solving different problems, but all needing to be enacted as a single block of energy storage.
Okay. So does the energy storage market, does it need to really work with solar to be more successful? Are those two industries, do they really complement each other?
Oh yeah, the short answer to that question is unequivocally. I think both the indirect and direct effects of all intermittent resources, including solar, but also wind, have really been a boon for the energy storage industry. Let me just give you 2 examples of that. I think one of the goals of intermittent resources that are dependent on when the wind blows and when the sun is up is to make, I would say, intermittent resources become more like baseload generators. And the way you can do that sometimes is by shifting when those electrons are not only available, but when they're used. And energy storage is a good way to accomplish that. The other example is that when you think about placing a lot of renewable generation, especially the distributed edges of the grid, there's a lot of constraints there related to power quality and capacity. So one of the great things that are probably more important beyond the peak shifting opportunity is the ability of energy storage to mute or mitigate some of the power quality effects of intermittent resources on the grid. And the benefit means, the benefits include you can actually locate more renewable resources at those locations. And secondly, instead of having to upgrade, for instance, distribution feeders, you can defer that investment and continue to take advantage of the growing penetration of solar in particular. So that and a myriad of other applications allows both energy storage and solar to really be brother and sister when it comes to creating a much better way of not only generating but also making maximum use of the electricity that's being derived.
Okay. So what are the challenges with energy storage today, and what could be improved for the future?
Yeah, I'd probably cite three challenges. One is a lot of people look at energy storage and batteries as being very similar to solar and wind, and it actually is very, very different. Okay. First off, from an industry maturity standpoint, it's probably about 15 years behind wind and solar. Wind and solar has been at it for a much longer period of time. Secondly, I think energy storage is perhaps one of the most versatile appliances that grid operators on both sides of the meter have in order to improve the grid, make it more reliable. And again, make better use of the electricity that's generated by renewable sources as well. So, that is another difference in that you have a programmable computing asset that can solve a myriad of different issues on the grid, as opposed to the dedicated, sort of benefits associated with our renewable generation as well. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing is, I think if I think about Grid 2.0, and it's like one of those words like microgrid. If you ask 4 people what it is, you'll get 4 different answers. Right. But I think one of the common things that people talk about related to both microgrid and Grid 2.0 is that it'll be more intelligent, it'll be more distributed, and it'll essentially make better use out of resources that already exist today. And that's what really gets Greensmith excited. I mean, we were, I guess, the 107th fastest growing company in the United States, and #1 in the energy storage space. So that's because it has to be a business at the end of the day. It can't just be, pilots and technology. Right. But all this is really about being part of, establishing the next generation grid that, again, doesn't necessarily generate its way out of issues or always has to invest in huge infrastructure, but takes the existing assets that are there and just makes them perform better.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank John for joining us today at Solar Speaks Live in the Unirac booth at Solar Power International. And be sure to stop by for some more interviews. Thanks.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks, John.